You're it's popping, gang. Hope everybody here. Hope y'all got it. This smoke will Peso. Cue the intro.
With a game, but I'm still dangerous on my own. So if you think you gon' play, just pack them out, then get them gone.
So, real quick, what everybody got planned for the New Year's, man? So I got planned for the New Year's. Y'all gonna get drunk. Y'all gonna get tea. You know what I'm saying? You gonna do y'all thug thizzle? Drop it in the comments. Let me know. You know, cause it's what the 30th right now, so this is gonna be on the 31st. So yeah, technically yeah. So yeah, drop it in the comments what I got to go on for New Year's, man. So oh yeah, Happy New Year's. Yeah, Happy early New Year's. But this is part 2 to that killer thing. He got to went to the cop, found this clue, and now we trying to find out what this clue was. So let's get it.
Last known location based off of pings.
The season of giving is all about hope, compassion, and joy. Yet for some children, this time of
No, they didn't. They did not just hit us with the stiff.
And based off of
They just hit us with the real quick stiff. Y'all saw that?
cell site data was in downtown Atlanta. That's very telling to us. How did the phone get there? Did the offender just throw it out the window? Did the offender take it back to his house?
The location of the phone was narrowed down to a vacant lot in downtown Atlanta. Detective Grimstead, hoping against hope, searched this location. But here too, they turned up empty-handed. Despair was beginning to set in as the detectives wondered if they would ever solve this case.
So it's very disheartening. I'm running out of information.
Everything seemed to be coming up empty. With every passing day, the case seemed closer to going cold. But then, just when all hope seemed lost, a revolutionary new technology gave the detectives a glimmer of hope. In March 2019, 4 months after the murder, the detectives of the Cobb County Police Department were having a meeting to see if there were any new approaches they could take to solve the Mitchell Jones case. It was in this meeting that Special Agent Ricey mentioned a new technology he had heard recently about in a cell phone investigation training program with the FBI.
And in that class, I learned about something I hadn't heard before. It was the term geofencing.
A geofence is a virtual perimeter that is set around a geographical location. If the location and timing of a crime is known, then the investigators can ask technology companies to provide them with the users within this perimeter at that point in time.
Every technology company collects end user data for advertising purposes, and law enforcement is simply exploiting that, saying, hey, give us that information so that we can solve a crime.
Our cell phones are a connection to the world around us, and even when they're not in use, they're attempting to utilize the different technology that's around them, whether it's cell towers, whether it's GPS information, whether it's Wi-Fi routers. And what we learned is that cellular carriers as well as Google actually collect some of that data.
When cell phone carriers and tech companies collect this data, it holds.
I mean, I knew they do all of that, but like, you see how advanced the feds is. I be telling, bro, I be telling everybody, bro, that street dead. I'm telling you, that street dead, boy. I'm telling you, streets been over with. I'm telling you, committing crimes been over with. I'm telling you.
The location of the devices within that geofence at that time. Now that the detectives had this tool, they decided to apply it to the case of Mitchell Jones Jr. In this case, they already knew the location, as well as the time of the attack, since Mitchell had placed the 911 call himself at 9:30 p.m. They set a virtual perimeter around his house at the time of the murder and sent requests out to some major companies for their data.
So I submit a geofence search warrant to Apple, Google, and Facebook. Google responded back to us with evidentiary information in this case.
Google was the only company to respond with the data, but that would turn out to be sufficient as the cops were about to achieve their biggest breakthrough yet. They now had a list of all the people within 500 feet of Mitchell's home.
But then we say he was the suspect in the first one, though? I'm just saying, like, I thought we already had our eye on him.
In a 45-minute time range around the murder. Now it was up to them to find the killer. They were able to narrow it down to 4 people who were within the geofence at the time of the murder. After receiving their subscriber information from Google, they began to eliminate these people as suspects one by one.
2 of them were elderly couples, and they lived in that area, on that street. We felt that they just weren't physically capable of committing this type of violence.
Of the 2 remaining, one was the right age and physical stature required, but they had no prior criminal history or record. However, the last one left, who had also been closest to Mitchell's house according to the data, was a vastly different case.
The last one left had the right criminal background that would fit our offender. He had prior aggravated assaults and he had prior thefts. His device went into the crime scene, it pinged multiple times, then it left. It fit perfectly.
They finally had a new name and a new suspect to look into, Dunta Holmes. This name was a...
We was right. We was right. I ain't gonna say him, but I'm saying we knew old boy when...
about to change the course of their entire investigation.
Who is Dante Holmes?
Now that they had a name before making any move, the detectives had to be sure that this was their man. So they began to look into every possible way they could connect Dunta to the crime.
We learned that he had a criminal history of prior aggravated assaults and he had prior thefts. And so he fit a potential offender of a crime such as this.
They already had the geofence data that placed him near the scene of the crime. Next, they looked at his family and known associates and made a shocking discovery.
And I learned that
There you go. That's all I was waiting on right there. I knew it.
his mother also owned a good concern. It was a car he drove all the time.
The evidence was stacking up nicely against Dunta. Next, they looked into his phone's location history, and what they found would only further implicate him in this most gruesome of crimes.
Dante Holmes' cell phone gave us basically the route he took to go to the murder scene and leave the murder scene.
They also found a photo on his cloud storage that had been uploaded on the night of the murder that all but sealed the deal. In it, Dunta appeared to have a bandaged foot, and detectives were almost certain that this was where the blood near the front door had come from. With so much evidence all pointing to Dunta, the investigators rushed to bring him in for an interrogation. But they could not have anticipated how the interrogation would unfold.
So what'd he do? Stab his
On April 12, 2019, almost 5 months after the murder, Dunta Holmes was arrested and brought in for an interrogation. He agreed to speak to the detectives without an attorney. He also agreed to give a DNA sample for testing, which the detectives collected. Then they began to question Dunta.
What I want to talk to you about is Mitchell Jones. Do you know Mitchell Jones?
No, sir.
There would be no reason for your phone to be at Mitchell Jones's house.
No reason.
No reason. No reason whatsoever. If I told you that was not the correct answer, what would you say to that?
That it was wrong?
You're not being honest with me.
Initially, Dunta seemed to be calm enough in the interview, giving off the air of someone who knew of no reason why he should be there. But then he admitted to Detective Grimstead that he used to come up to Marietta to meet someone.
Is that the gentleman you met? That's him? Okay.
You didn't even know his name.
Was just a hookup?
Yeah, it was just like a hookup.
Well, it surprised you to know that Mitchell Jones was killed.
Oh, y'all ain't trying to say I killed him. 'Cause I don't know. Me and dude had no bad blood, period, whatsoever. We never even got to arguing about it. We never got to fighting. None of that. All we ever did was hook up.
Dunta's response here was a red flag as well. He immediately became defensive and denied his involvement when the detective told him that Mitchell had been killed. An innocent person who actually cared would have shown.
Remember how his ex reacted? He was like, "Are you serious?" You know what I'm saying? Like, dude was like, "Oh, I forgot. I gotta react." It's like, yeah, like he had like, "Oh, I gotta react to it," like, cause he know, right?
Concern. But Dunta was oblivious to this, and he would only keep digging a bigger hole for himself.
And when was the last time you saw him?
I knew it before September.
There would be no reason for your phone to be at Mitchell Jones's house after September? No reason. No reason whatsoever.
Finally, Detective Grimstead had had enough. Dunta had built himself a wall of lies, and now Detective Grimstead was ready to tear it down with every real piece of evidence they had against him.
Most of the time when we ask you a question, we know the answers. You say you haven't been there since September. This puts you at Mitchell's house in November. Back in November, did you cut your foot, ankle?
I cut my foot?
Mm-hmm. You never had an injury? That's yours. Oh, that's not yours.
Even having been confronted by the evidence the police had against him, Dunta still believed that he was smarter than the detective and could lie his way out of trouble. The detectives pressed on with their questioning, knowing that every lie Dunta told them now would be held against him later in court.
Last time you were at Mitchell's house, was there any kind of altercation?
No, man, like, me and dude just hooked him. That was it.
What kind of car do you have? Or drive?
I don't have a car.
How did you come up to meet with him?
I did. I was in my aunt's car.
Your mama have a black car?
This is the coolest innovation of our lifetime. The world's first titanium nonstick pan. It's gonna blow your hair back.
He getting ready to lie.
My mom? Mm-hmm. My mom ain't got no black car.
What I tell you? I should have did the lie and come in 3, 2, because I knew that was coming. That was the dumbest lie you could have told.
Did she?
She used to.
You know, you were driving a black car. You know, you've been to the house multiple times. Your phone puts you in that same car at the house on those dates. And it puts you in the house that day after Thanksgiving. There's surveillance video from across the street. All right, that's why we know the times. And you'll make a 911 phone call. Okay? You know you were there.
I was not. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. I was not.
Would there be any reason your blood would be?
My blood? Y'all found my blood. Yeah, come.
The detectives once again let Dunta build up his false statements before tearing them down with their carefully crafted facts and evidence. Dunta, however, still hadn't gotten the message and continued to try and deny everything. Sensing that this strategy wasn't working, the detectives tried a different approach.
We know we've both been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, no,
we know that sometimes things are unintentional.
Something went horribly wrong in that house.
We need to know what happened. It's crazy. Sometimes things happen that we don't intend to happen. We know you've got a lot on your mind.
The officers showed him empathy and tried to encourage him that he would feel better if he shared what had happened. Then they sat in silence and waited for Dunta to crack. Then, after 4 whole minutes of silence, Dunta Holmes finally opened up. This was the moment detectives had been waiting for.
I can be 100% honest with y'all. I come in the house to talk to you like, I don't want to do this. Like, he had his back turned and he turned around and he tried to stab me. Then we started fighting. I hit him over the head with a piece of glass and he dropped the knife. And I grabbed the knife. And he was on top of me. So I stabbed him in the back. And he was like, what you did to me? Seeing I just started stabbing him like, so he tried to get up and fought, but he failed.
But Dunta, in his unending foolishness, had decided to continue to try to lie to the detectives. His latest so-called truth was that Mitchell had been the one to attack him, and he had taken his life in self-defense. Dunta had done his best to paint himself in the best possible light, but the detectives weren't buying it. The autopsy results and the fact that Mitchell had 25 individual stab or puncture wounds was enough proof to invalidate his claim of self-defense. Despite his efforts, Dunta Holmes was arrested and charged with the murder of Mitchell Jones Jr. The detectives then began to prepare their evidence for a trial, as until the guilty verdict was secured, they would not feel at peace, especially with the number of times they had already gotten their hopes up. They received a much-needed boost in the days leading up to the trial.
We eventually got his known DNA once he was arrested. It was compared to the DNA blood drop that was found outside the threshold of the door. We did learn that that matched him.
But even with this evidence, there were still concerns about the trial. Though geofence technology had been used in other states, this was the first time it had been used in the state of Georgia. Cobb County prosecutor Jesse Evans was worried about how this could affect the trial.
We knew that we're not only going to have to explain to the judge how geofencing technology works, but we're also going to have to explain this to jurors as well. Whenever you deal with new things, it makes you nervous as a prosecutor.
But then, on the eve of the trial, Prosecutor Evans received a call from Dunta's defense attorney, and he could not believe what he heard.
We receive a phone call from the defense attorney who says that his client is now ready to accept some responsibility for this crime if we were willing to engage in some sort of plea discussions with him.
On January 6, 2020, Dunta Holmes pled guilty to malice murder, aggravated assault, and aggravated battery. He was sentenced to life in prison. But the investigators would receive one last piece of information that would make all their efforts feel worth it.
The defense attorney basically tells Jesse Evans and I why they decided to plead guilty. And there's a couple of reasons. Certainly the fact that Dunta Holmes's DNA matched the blood on the scene. But the one thing the defense attorney told Jesse Evans and I is he felt like he couldn't argue against the technology. And so that largely led to the plea deal.
This case remains one of the landmark cases in terms of geofence technology.
The geofence technology just really sprung this case into life. If it were not for that, there's a possibility it will not be solved.
After this case, geofence technology has only continued to grow in leaps and bounds and has helped solve hundreds of cases in the state of Georgia and across the United States. Mitchell's friends and family are glad that his killer is facing justice behind bars, but they still grieve the loss of their loved one.
I don't think he should ever see the light of day again. I'm sorry, I can't finish my statement.
I can forgive him, but there's no weight off my shoulder. I miss my son.
We would like to take a moment to remember Mitchell, his dreams of becoming an actor, and his passion for animals, a life full of promise, cut short far too early. We hope that his loved ones find some form of peace and closure as time passes. And this is where we will end the case of Mitchell Jones Jr., a case that
That's a tough one. I ain't gonna lie. That's a tough one. Because he probably, I don't know. Yeah, I think it was the other way around. Like, he tried to break it off with dudes, like flipped out and tried to get the knife and they start fighting. I think it was the other way around. I ain't gonna lie. Because they never told us, like, what happened. So we got to go off what we think. I think it was the other way around. I think Mitchell was trying to cut it off and dude was like, nah, ain't no cutting it off. And got the knife. You know what I'm saying? They got the fighting and yeah, and then he probably dropped the knife and then he probably got the thing, hit Mitchell over the head, got the knife again. You know what I'm saying? Finish the job. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was like that. But that's it for this video, man. If you made this far, remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and ring that bell. We got 157, y'all. Bro, I love y'all. Like, I swear to God, like we getting there. We moving up. In a minute, bro, we gonna be the talk of the town, bro. I'm telling you, we gonna be the new kid on the block. You know what I'm saying? But nah, just remember to keep subscribing, man. Keep liking, keep viewing, keep rocking with me because I rock with y'all. Now I see y'all comments and I appreciate the advice too. You know what I'm saying? I ain't get your name. I need to start remembering y'all names on here, bro. So I give y'all these proper shout outs. But I appreciate it, bro. Tell me about the little monetize and all of that. This intro might be a little different, so just rock with it. Let me know if y'all rock with it. If y'all don't, let me know. And hey, in Peso we trust. And we gone. You dig?